Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday, or whatever a day it is, because I know that probably in some places it's already. No, I don't think it would be tomorrow yet, but it's probably late Sunday. I don't think any place is actually a whole day ahead, but I honestly don't know. Yeah, well, this is going to be a relatively short. Oh, that's adorable. Discord put a little pumpkin for their loading thing. I don't think I noticed that before. Um, anyway, this will be a relatively short stream. I wasn't even sure if I was going to stream, but because I had the COVID booster and the flu shot both simultaneously on Friday afternoon. So I figured, okay. And my thought with that was, why do this twice? Because I generally don't have a reaction to the flu shot, but of course every shot is different. So I didn't know if this would, of course, be the one time I counted on not having a reaction, and then I did. So I figured, and I knew I was getting the COVID booster as well. And I know a lot of people have said, why would you get them both at the same time? Because I just wanted to get it over with. I figured if I'm going to feel bad, let me have my one day of feeling, or, not one day, my one stretch of feeling bad, and then, that'll be it. And honestly, unless it comes back. Yesterday was really the only bad day. Yesterday was, I didn't feel great. I'm not really going to complain. I didn't feel all that bad. Not really. But my energy was kind of shot. And I had the body aches thing for a little bit. Not terrible. Again, I don't really want to sound like I'm complaining too much because it wasn't horrible, but it was noticeable. I could tell when I moved certain ways that I had my, things were achy. And of course, that's going to be, what do you call it? It's going to be amplified with age, so I'm sure that's never going to get any better. And then for a while, later on in the day, I just kind of felt my stomach just felt off. I never felt sick or nauseous, never had any stomach problems, but I would have these weird bouts where I just felt my stomach would just feel weird. But I had no problems with appetite or anything. So again, overall, and this morning I feel, and then my nose was running a little bit for a while. I had like a quasi stuffiness for maybe 2 hours. And when I say 2 hours, I don't mean 2 hours straight. It would kind of come on for a little bit, go, come on, go. There were a few times. Last night I had the chills for sure. I know that, which is extremely unusual for me because I'm never cold. I am never cold. So anytime if I feel the chills, I know something is off. Like that's an immediate, gigantic neon sign that says something is happening to you. So I know right away if I have the chills, then I'm either sick or something is wrong. So that lined up, and that was okay because that's what you have covers for. It wasn't terrible. I wasn't shivering. I was just cold. But I checked my body temperature throughout the day and all that stuff, and I was normal. So it was just the side effect stuff, and that was fine. And this morning I woke up and I thought, okay, I feel pretty good this morning. So let's go ahead and do a stream, at least for a little while, because I do have some things to do this morning because I kind of lost all of yesterday. So I do have some things I have to do. So it won't be a particularly long stream, but, I have a little slice of time. So I figured, okay, right before Halloween, we'll do a little bit of art stream, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, honestly, I really thought I was going to have worse, or I thought it was going to be a longer duration because it was the 2 shots. But it really, like I said, my complaints, even as they are complaints, which I forgot to post on Twitter. Sorry. 2 seconds. I forgot. I'm sitting here going, there's something I forgot, right? Yeah, Twitter. Really wasn't that bad. It really, I think the second vaccine, not what they would consider the booster, because this is now the 4th one. The first one wasn't all that bad. I think the first one was similar to this one. Then the second one I remember not being very fun. I do remember the second one was a couple days. I do remember that because that was pretty bad. Not bad, but it was pretty noticeable. And that one went on for, I believe, 2 days. So yeah, that one was that was probably the worst punch of the whole thing. And some people had said that they thought that I had read people saying that they thought that the flu shot was worse than the booster shots. That was not my experience. I've never really had a bad, not yet. I've never had a bad flu shot. Really haven't. Flu shot has always been kind of easy for me. You know, soreness in the arm. That's really been the worst of a flu shot for me. I've never really had a particularly bad flu shot the way some people have. So I've been lucky that way. So anyway, that's the Fluster update from over here. Let's get started here. All right, I'm not even gonna do the transition thing. We're just gonna jump straight into this. Let's just jump in here. Okay, let's keep going on our Thou Shalt Not Stutter image. Okay, so let me make sure I'm on my right layer here. That's the background stuff. This actually is probably the smartest thing I've done, is having these layers named with the different weights so that I know what I'm doing. Is that the same weight? Oh, that's an eraser. So not quite. Okay, that is not the right brush. No. Oh, geez, that's not either. Am I on the wrong? Geez, which pen? Huh. Let's knock down to, well, it's got to be this one. Let's try 5. That's it. Just had a minute. So the question with this is, how do I want to do this? Because this is real easy to screw up. Well, I guess I'll just go along. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. We'll figure it out. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Yeah, see, that's immediately. How do I want to do? Well, you know what? Let's just do this. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. It's going to take forever, incidentally, because I have to draw them all individually. I know there are brushes that'll do this kind of repetitious stuff, but you have to build the brushes, and because I don't plan many of my images way ahead of time, it's sort of tough for me to build brushes. You know what? The eyes are bothering me because they're empty. Let's go ahead and do the eyes. And when I am going to do I'm not going to call it cheating, but I'm going to do the old duplication effect with this. Right, because I want the eyes to match. So if I do that, and then I duplicate that, and then we move this. Whoop, let's get that eye right there. And let's check that. That looks good. Okay, good. That wasn't. I was dreading that being an immense brush. It's not. So, oh, wrong layer. Wrong layer, genius. There we go. There we are. We've got some eyes. And we'll just go ahead and knock those eyes down. And that's technically on the medium layer. You know, I'm gonna leave the eyes themselves, just in case I need to fix them. Eyes are such a tricky thing that sometimes you actually have to go back and fix those things. So let's. This is going to be a black layer, so it can sit right here. And we'll call this blacks. Yep. And we'll go ahead and... Now they're going to be a little bit... Yeah, it's going to be like that because it's... Oh, you know what? It doesn't have to be behind the white layer. What am I doing? The white layer is for the pencil marks. There we go. Yeah, okay. That's better. Okay. So, back to this. Back to the medium layer. Okay. And we're putting, okay, I put a space there. Well, that was smart, because then I can just, that one I don't have to worry as much about. It's easier. Here we are. And we'll do that. I'm not worrying too much about these. And I'm drinking coffee at the same time. So this is going to be a very, very... I wasn't going to say lazy stream. It's going to be a very laid-back stream. That's the word. I'm not going to worry too much because I'm drinking coffee at the same time. Now, man, I found a magical mix for my coffee because I use I don't put any milk or cream or half and half or anything in my coffee, at least not generally. I put in espresso sometimes because espresso can be very bitter. But I don't put in coffee almost ever. Although sometimes I put a little in there because I find that that's rare. Sometimes I don't want it quite as powerful. Most of the time I'm drinking it black, but I use the Tirani syrups. My dog's looking at me. Hello. Hi, cutie. And there's a good mix that I have found, which is they have a lot of sugar in them. Hold on. They are good, but they are loaded with sugar. I did not really realize. I'm going to do another layer, by the way, that's going to go underneath, because what I don't want to risk is messing up the call it medium 2. I don't want to risk screwing up the fingers because the fingers are actually pretty good. So I'm going to say medium 2. I'll merge it at some point. But right now I'm going to keep these separate just because I'm going to have to intersect with those lines. So anyway, the Torani syrups are good. But ooh, that is terrible though. That is not good. There's so much sugar in them. Which, you know, I knew there was sugar in them because they make a sugar-free line. So it's not as if I didn't know. I wonder if I should just join those. I should just join those. It's close enough. It's not like I didn't know there was sugar in them at all. But I didn't realize how much sugar was in them. I mean, it's a lot. And one thing I'm pretty good about, I'm not going to tell you that I'm a healthy eater or anything like that, because that would be a very big lie. But I'm pretty good about my sugar. It's one thing that one of the few things as far as trying to be healthy in what I'm doing that I'm actually pretty good at. I'm actually sort of proud of the fact that, not even sort of, I am proud of the fact that my sugar thing, or sugar intake, is something I'm actually pretty good about. I keep an eye on sugar. And I'm not one of these no sugar Nazi people. I don't say that negatively, but there are people who will not tolerate any sugar of any kind, anything. I'm not at that point. I don't mind sugar, but I know what the daily amount should be, and I try to keep to it, or around it, or within reason, or at the very least be aware of how much, so that I can kind of, you know, and that's actually been pretty effective in me losing some weight and keeping that weight off. More than anything else, I think it's been the sugar, because that was the one thing when I changed it, I started to notice right away that things were, you know, that the weight was altering. Really, I think that has been the biggest thing. And they'll tell you. You ask doctors or nutritionists, a lot of them will tell you it's not exercise, it's diet. So it made sense. Only problem is, well, I don't know, maybe a lot's the wrong word. Many of the Torani syrups I have tried that are sugar-free are not great. Especially there's one that's what is it? It's cinnamon brown sugar. Oh boy, is that awful. And I like cinnamon and I like brown sugar, and it's awful. And so, you know, I was looking around on their site to see what other sugar-free flavors they had. And they just had so many flavors that were regular sugar that looked really good. That were like French toast sounds great, and salted caramel is great. The butterscotch, these are all really good. So I was like, oh, whatever. I'll get some of the sugar ones and I'll mix it in with the sugar-free, kind of like the English toffee sugar-free is good. French vanilla is good. Like, there are sugar-free ones. There are sugar-free ones. I'm doing the same thing I get annoyed when people do, where I'm saying when I should just be saying the statement. There are sugar-free options in the Torani line that are perfectly good. So I figured, okay, well, I'll do a mix and match. I'll do some that are going to be the full sugar, and I'll do some that are going to be sugar-free. And that's kind of a good threading of the needle, a balancing act, a compromise. There's a word that America has a hatred for these days. There's a compromise that makes sense. Thing I didn't realize was those sugar syrups, those Torani sugar syrups, they are loaded with sugar. The amount of sugar in, because generally, you know, let's say 4 pumps. The amount of sugar in 4 pumps of that syrup is, I think, more than a can of soda, which in itself, no, actually, it might be far more than a can of soda. It is insane how much sugar is in those things. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I mean, right now what I'm doing to just try to offset that is 1 pump of the sugar, the full sugar stuff, and then the sugar-free for the rest of it. And even that is, you know, that's because I'm not going to waste it. I'm not going to throw it out. I got to use it. I'm just going to be using it very slowly. If I buy something, I'm not going to just throw it out. So I'm going to consume it, but I will be doing so in a very, very protracted fashion, because those things have a lot of sugar. And I was really thrown by how much, because I knew there was going to be some, obviously, but the amount, It's just unbelievable. I mean, not unbelievable. It's reality. But I was really thrown by that. I did not expect there to be that much sugar in those things, which explains why they taste good. That's the problem, right? Sugar tastes good, but whoo boy, yeah, I can't do that. I start down that again, I'm gonna be in trouble. Because, I mean, sugar is just bad for you in a lot of ways. Again, I'm not anti-sugar. I eat stuff with sugar. Sorry, I didn't mean to cough on the mic. I eat stuff with sugar. I don't avoid sugar, but I know that it's kind of like nitroglycerin. I kind of look at sugar as almost like a very explosive thing where you have to be very delicate with it so that you don't, cause a problem. Because right now, my teeth are in pretty good shape. Sugar ain't good for your teeth. My weight isn't, I'm not what my doctor would call an ideal weight, but I'm certainly not as big as I used to be. My blood sugar and all that, all my numbers, I was getting close to being pre-diabetic. That's no longer the case. And much of that came when I basically cut sugar way down. So I'm not going to go back to that. I don't want, I'm getting older. It's not going to get easier. So I don't want to backtrack. So it sucks in a lot of ways, although there's lots of alternatives to sugar that are perfectly fine. So it's not as if you can't get close. Hold on, I'm getting a drink quick. So in this cup of coffee I currently have, it's one pump. This is a good combo. One pump of the French toast, one pump of the salted caramel, and then one pump of English toffee. That's a pretty good mix. I think there is a sugar-free version of salted caramel. So I think I'm going to try that next. Because if I can just get close, it doesn't have to taste. There are people who will try to replicate the flavor profile of things in ways that just don't make sense. Look, here's the reality. I'm sorry if this is a news flash to anybody, or this is something that you can't handle. You're not gonna get, in most cases, the same flavor out of sugar-free stuff as sugar. It's like with fat. You eat something that doesn't have any fat in it compared to something that has fat in it, it tastes different. It just does. That's not necessarily the biggest deal in the world. I think at some point it's not really. I don't know that it's necessarily healthy for people to try to convince themselves that they can replicate something. In other words, I have yet to ever. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I've tried a lot. For a while, I was kind of trying I was trying different fake bacons. Because I know bacon's not good for me either, and I was eating a lot of it. So I was trying these different fake bacon things. Not a single one is anywhere near bacon. It just isn't. And again, that's fine. At some point, we should be okay with the fact that you have to give some things up if you want to accomplish certain goals. I don't think we have to fool ourselves into always being able to do everything the way that we did. At some point, you have to go, okay, what's more important to me? Is it more important to me to eat bacon, or is it more important for me not to have a heart attack when I'm 42? Okay, well then, you make your decision. Oh, there's a piece of dust on this thing. There we go. So occasionally I still have bacon. I tried, I think, 7 or 8 different fake bacon alternatives, or whatever they would call it. Sliced bacon, meaning here. And no. So what I've done is the way I mitigated that was, instead of using full strips of bacon, I've gone to bacon crumbles that I mix into certain things. So this flavor's still there. Yes, it's not the same as it used to be when I would use 4 or 5 or 6 strips of bacon on something, which is delicious, but it's horrible for me. But it's a middle ground. I didn't have to give up bacon. And bacon salt is great. Bacon salt actually might be the best substitute for bacon that I've found. I mean, it's still bacon flavored, but it's the bacon salt that I use, which I don't remember the company. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Is really good. It's very good. That's what I mean. It's close enough. Can't always have everything. And that, by the way, goes, when I say that, I actually literally mean that. You can eat as much bacon as you want. If you want to, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to eat as much bacon as you want. What you're not going to be able to have is probably a healthy existence all the way to the end of your life. That's what I mean. You can't have everything. Trust me, I wish you could. I wish somebody could engineer bacon, and plus, I just, some of the farming stuff that I know about, and I'm not going to get into all that because everybody makes their own decisions in their morality on what they eat. But if somebody could actually engineer bacon in such a way that it could, and I know this is impossible, so this is what I mean, is you can't have everything. But there will never be bacon in the way that would make me feel comfortable eating it all the time, for many reasons. I'll just say that. Which is too bad. But you know what? It's just bacon. It's okay. There are bigger tragedies in the world than me not being able to eat bacon at my whim. Much greater tragedies in the world than that. And that is perfectly okay. I still enjoy things even if they're not covered in bacon. That said, no fake bacon is anywhere near the original. Anybody who thinks otherwise is fooling themselves. Bacon is so good because it is something that can't easily, its flavor profile and texture cannot easily be replicated. In fact, easily isn't even, actually, no, I shouldn't say easily. Probably if you put enough money and time, you could do it, but it would not be practical and you certainly wouldn't be able to sell it. This was not intended to be the stream about sugar and bacon. But there we are. Brown sugar on bacon, by the way. Very good if you've never tried it. Sprinkle a little brown sugar on bacon if you're cooking it. And it really is a delicious flavor. This is going, and I'm now jinxing it, this is going much smoother than I expected. Usually when I do small area stuff like this, I have to restart them many times because I usually can't get those segments to join really well, but this is actually going fairly well. I may actually get this entire strip done by the end of this stream. Not gonna promise that, but it might happen. I'll just come down here because I want to just do these so that I'm in a good spot when I get to this point. I don't have to redo this. I just kind of want to see these joined up. Can use straight lines for these because I've got both points already. So this is a little bit easier. For some reason, the mic was really picking up my desktop PC this morning, so I turned it off. Because I know one of the fans, I think the bearing is starting to go, so it's probably picking that up. But boy, it really picked it up. I was shocked. Usually it does not pick it up to that degree. You know, I kind of keep an eye on the little meter just to make sure that I'm not blowing the mic out or anything like that. And it was really picking the PC up. So I figured, okay, I'm shutting that off. So that's what I did. I wonder if I should start working up from down here to make sure I don't run into some kind of problem. It's probably not the worst idea. Just because you can see already right there, there's one that's not going to line up properly, but that's easy to, you can fake that with relative, okay, well, I didn't fake that very well, but you can, and I will right here. I'll do this better this time. No, I still don't like that. Hold on. You know why? I know why. Because I didn't fake this one very well. So what we're going to do, I know what I did. I see my error. Okay, so this one needed to be bigger. This needs to come up and then round out like that. That's what it should look like. By the way, I'm going to check something really quick because I'm curious. It shows that there's... This is so... Okay. So it shows that there's a viewer. Closed readers list. But that whatever those two names that always show up, I don't know what those are. Those have to be system level names. Those are not... Those can't possibly be real people. Because they're always there. And that just wouldn't make any sense. But I wanted to see if that list had changed because I saw that there was one viewer. So I was curious if that list changed. It did not. Therefore, I don't believe that it's real. I believe it's either system monitors or something. Which the names are Alice, Idra, and MetaViews. MetaViews has to be some kind of bot that's either watching things or gathering information. I don't know. Alice, Idra, I don't know what that is. That almost looks like a username, but I don't know. It's always there, and I really don't believe that that's a person who's always tuning in. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, hello, Alice Idra. It's a memorable name. I'll say that. Because I remember seeing it. But I don't know that it's real. Okay, let me just check that. You know what? The ends are getting thin. My ends are thinning out, which isn't good for whatever these objects are. I don't actually know what these things are called. I just know Turok has them. Whatever they are, they shouldn't have thin ends. I want them to be consistent as much as I can make them consistent. There we are. Okay, this one's in. Halloween tomorrow, everybody. At least in the United States. I don't know if everybody does Halloween. I guess they probably don't. I guess Halloween is probably not a universal thing. I guess it wouldn't be. I don't know. I've never actually looked into the internationality of Halloween. So I don't know if that's something. It probably isn't. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I know its roots are in paganism, so that was, I don't think that was a particularly American thing. So it's very possible Halloween is everywhere. It may just not be called Halloween. I don't know. But, yeah. So Halloween tomorrow. Not expecting to get a lot of trick-or-treaters. We live on a pretty busy street. And honestly, if I was a parent, I wouldn't, because it gets dark early, I wouldn't walk my kids along the street because people go flying down this. It's a pretty main, it's not a major artery, but it's a pretty main road. It's a fairly highly trafficked road. And people drive like idiots. So honestly, I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to take their kid on the street. So we generally don't get, I cannot get that right. There we go. We generally don't get a lot of children coming by. Just the way it is. That's okay. We get a few. We usually get a few. But certainly not like some of the other streets that are a little bit more set back, where you will see a lot of people. But not us. It's a lot different now than it used to be, too. Trick-or-treating now is such a different thing. I mean, that really was when I was younger. That was kind of one of the rare nights that even when you were younger, you kind of, it was early explorations into kind of autonomy, because when we trick-or-treated when I was younger, that is looking pretty good, I have to say. Normally, turn the, what do you call it, stuff? I just want to see something, because sometimes those don't look bad. Those don't look bad. Okay. Normally that type of stuff can be tricky for me. Maybe doing all this stuff all the time is finally making me better at it. Yeah, trick-or-treating, my parents, they didn't escort us anywhere. You got a bag and you went out and you trick-or-treated. It was great. So it was an unusual thing, because a lot of times you had to be back by a certain time. And, you just kind of wandered around and you saw lots of other people your age. You would just kind of run into it. It was such a strange and interesting little social thing. Very hard to quantify it. Thing is, sip of coffee, by the way. I'm sorry. Whereas now, it's a very different world. And I understand that. It's just the nature of the world. Actually, what I am also going to do is, if you'll bear with me a minute. Oh, crap. I'm going to, because I do have to cook breakfast this morning, I'm going to wander into the other room, right past my dog here, who always manages to sit in a way where it's tough to get around her, but that's okay. I love her anyway. I'm just going to turn the oven on so that I can get breakfast going, because I'm going to be ending the stream in a few minutes, and then I'm going to be going straight to cooking breakfast before I have other things to do. Okay, back to where we were. That will take a few minutes to heat up. So, all right, let me put this back down. Yeah, I think I can finish these out before we're done for the day here. So yeah, trick-or-treating. Much different thing when I was younger. Now it's, and in some ways the same. This year you've seen I don't know if everybody's seen this, but there's been these reports, people are putting drugs into candy, which is nonsense. No, they're not. Not on a mass scale. I'm not saying it never happens. But when I was younger, it was razor blades. That thing's been around forever. Oh, people are putting razor blades into candy. Don't just bite into candy. No one ever that I knew or knew of anywhere near me ever had anything in their candy that wasn't candy. The worst thing that would happen is somebody would give you a pencil. That was the worst thing that happened in trick-or-treating. Which again is not to me to say that nobody ever did it. I'm sure But it was not an epidemic. It was made out to be this thing that, oh, there's weird people that are putting razor blades into Twix. Or Three Musketeers, I think was the big one. Three Musketeers. Which makes me wonder if, like, a competitor or something wanted to, slam their sales for a year. But, razor blades in the candy. Milky Way, too, was another one. You cut your candy in half. I remember my mother doing that a couple of years, actually cutting the candy in half when I brought it home. Ridiculous. We never found anything. And no one I ever heard of anywhere ever found anything. It's amazing to me that this stuff persists. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that amazing because people are always, you're afraid of what you can't control when it comes to kids. You don't want your kids getting hurt. I get that part of it. But at the same time, this year it's fentanyl is because there's very brightly colored fentanyl that is, I guess what they're trying to do from what I understand is there have been some attempts to get it through some checkpoints by making it look like candy so that lazy inspectors won't really pay attention to what it is. They'll think it's candy and therefore they won't see that it's drugs. Okay, that's possible. But as many people have rightly pointed out, no drug dealer is going to just throw drugs into candy for children to have for free. That's not how drug dealers make money. So it's laughable. It's one of those things where you sit there and go, wait a minute. If you just inspected this at a base level, you would understand that there is no chance that on a mass scale, again, maybe somebody who's really high thinks it's funny to do it. I'm not going to tell you that can't happen. But if you really think that drug dealers are going to be taking drugs that cost money and putting them into children's candy as a joke, okay, you got to get back in touch with reality. It's not happening. Let's do this sleeve really quick. And I will, since I have this layer, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create one quick layer just because I want to do this as a continuous line. That's a little tricky. So it's easier if I can just go outside the lines. Ooh, man, I got it all the way up to there. But I can fix that. I can fix this. That's easy to fix. Got it up to that point, though, which is impressive for me because I don't usually do it that well. And then I'll just knock this out because I wanted to get that as a nice smooth line. Anytime I try to do that in segments, it will never look smooth. It just will not. So I don't know why it inherits the name underneath. I wish there was an option you could toggle. Do I want to inherit the name underneath or on top? Minor thing. Okay. So there's the sleeve. Let's see, what's our time looking like? Okay. What layer am I on? I'm on that one, medium 2. Do a few more of these, and then I'll wrap up for today. We'll start cooking breakfast, and I see that stupid little dot there. That dot threw me off for a minute. I think you could probably see that my line wavered because I saw that dot, and it annoyed me in the periphery of my vision. Okay. We can at least do these. By the way, I love the fact that this White Bat Audio guy has all this stuff, this music available for free. It's amazing. I love when people do stuff like that, so I'm very happy to promote it. So go look at White Bat Audio, that little name that's on the tape player, which, I don't know, because of widescreen. I was going to say, why do I have it like that? Maybe I'll move that tape so that it's horizontal, because it's kind of hard to read it sideways. I can alter that image pretty easily. I'll put that on my mental checklist to do, because it really should be across so that you can read it easier. Okay, let's see. That's perfectly good music. Not even just as background music. I actually like some of this stuff. I shouldn't say actually as if that's amazing. It's not, that makes it sound like the guy usually makes crappy music, and I'm like, oh, this is actually good music. That's not what I meant. I meant that a lot of times when people make royalty-free music, you can kind of tell. Many, many types of royalty-free music, it's evident that it's royalty-free music. I'm not even saying that necessarily as a criticism. It simply is what is. That sometimes it's very clear that there's music that's being made that person doesn't expect to make any money off of. That's okay. I'm just saying, there's times where you can hear it. This is not one of those cases. I actually feel like this is music that... And I did pay some amount. I don't know what I paid. I paid whatever the full discography amount. I paid a good chunk of money because I'm sitting here going, no, this is worth paying for. I do like that thing with Bandcamp. I think Bandcamp does that very well. Where they, if because not everybody has the same amount of money available to them. Not everybody has the same budgets. So what people sometimes sit there and go, why is this album so cheap? Well, cheap is a relative word. Oh, was that? Did I leave Discord running? I did. Sorry. Just heard that noise in the background. Close that. I usually remember to do that. Goodbye. I heard the burp. So I like that a lot of artists now do the name your own price thing and do include very low cost options because not everybody has that kind of music or not that kind of money to spend on music. People who I'm sure would love to and just don't have the budget available. So people who do should. I generally have a universal policy that any album I buy, no matter what the price is set at, I always pay at least $10, depending on how many tracks. I mean, if you only put out 4 tracks, unless they're each 20 minutes long, okay, I'm not going to go far over $10. You put out a huge compilation album, I'm going way over $10, because I remember what CDs used to cost. And it certainly wasn't $10. So, yeah. But I know that I'm in a situation where I can do that. Not everybody is. Someday that situation may change, in which case I'll be happy if there's still a name your price option if I don't have those funds available. I hope I always do. I always want to support good music. But, trying to predict the future and know what's going on is impossible. So, let's do these, and then I'll wrap up the stream for today. Okay, come down here, wrap around. I don't like that little right there. I'm going to fix that. There we are. Okay, let's bring this. That is not a very straight line, so I'm going to let it straighten it for me. Not that it really matters if it's a straight line, but, trying to keep things straight. That's fine, don't worry about it. Overanalyzing things too much as far as spacing, it's perfectly okay. All right, there we are. Okay, well, that's where we're going to bring the stream to a close today. So we are moving along. I am really thrilled at how well those have gone. I expected to have to restart those a lot more. So the fact that those have come out as well as they have, it is great. That is highly unusual for me. So I hope that is a good sign of where this image is going to go because I like it. Looking at those inner diamonds, I may now do inner diamonds and the pencil lines. It's okay. I can do it. Won't be hard. Because I just looked at them and I kind of like the fact that there's inner diamonds. Anyway, that's for another time. That I'll be doing not in here because I can get much cleaner lines for that type of geometric precision out of Photoshop or Illustrator. So I'll be doing it. Really, it'll be Photoshop. I still just cannot wrap my head around Illustrator. I keep trying. But I always end up going, I could do this faster in Photoshop. So that's where I end up running to. I run home to Photoshop. Which that Pantone thing that's going on. If you're not aware, I'm glad you're not. But the Pantone thing, that is unbelievable. This is the problem when we have subscription services and everything is now tied to basically a lease model. I'll give you a quick synopsis. Pantone, who are responsible for colors, somehow, even that just bothers me, but I'm not getting into that because I don't have the time. But Pantone owns certain colors. Adobe has licensed those colors from Pantone, but apparently they are not licensed anymore. Therefore, anybody who has Photoshop images, even years old, if they used a Pantone color, then it gets reverted to black because they're not licensed anymore. So if you made an image 5 years ago, when it was licensed, and you used a Pantone color, and you open that image today, it turns black. Actually, I will save that tirade for another time, but that is ridiculous. So anyway, I'm glad I never used the Pantone stuff, or at least not in a way that I think affects the licensing. I did a couple of test image opens and it never happened, so I think I'm okay. And I could change my colors real easy, but it's ridiculous that even happens. So anyway, if you do celebrate Halloween, I'll probably not be streaming tomorrow, so have a wonderful Halloween. And if you go out with your kids, hope your kids have a safe and wonderful Halloween. No matter what you're doing for the rest of whatever's left of your Sunday, assuming it still is Sunday, go out there and create something, whether it's drawing or music or writing, whatever, painting, do whatever you want to do. Go out there, create something. Thanks for stopping by. Take care.